And good afternoon, everyone. It is now past noon, Saturday, January 24th, a big football weekend, 7:10 KNUS, yet another shooting in Minnesota. 17 will be the high in Denver, 5 degrees tonight. Tomorrow, the football game, 20. Snowstorms about kickoff time, 0 tomorrow night and 44 on Monday. There's been another shooting. A man's dead after a shooting in Minnesota involving feds, the immigration agents from Customs and Border Protection. The Department of Homeland Security and the Minneapolis police chief have been given conferences. They say they can name the man now. He's believed to be a lawful gun owner, U.S. citizen, a permit to carry. He did not identify, and again, the man has now been identified. He is 37 years old. He's a nurse. This is Tricia McLaughlin, the DHS spokesperson. Officers were conducting a targeted operation against an illegal alien wanted for violent assault. An individual approached U.S. Border Patrol officers with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun. Said that the officers attempted to disarm the subject, but the person violently resisted. The agents fired defensive shots because he feared for his life and the lives and safety of his fellow officers. So the questions are legion. Let's go to the phones. This is Brian in Arvada. Brian, you're out of the box. Good afternoon. Thank you.
Hey, Pete. You know, it's a tragic loss any time a life is gone, but you go down there in a heated situation with the gun and you branded defects to have.
Say that again. You just faded on me.
Well, I'm saying if you go down there with the gun and you brandish that gun, what do you think is going to happen? You know, I mean, do you think it's going to turn out good for anybody?
Well, no. That's why I'm saying well, first of all, it's not clear what happened. The video, and you're absolutely right. Everything is speculation now. You can see them. They're on the guy. And then you can see, looks like, I've watched it now a couple of times, and I'm not an expert, but it looks like you can see a guy, you can see his hand come back up like he's shooting. So the question now is... Dems
are putting people in harm's way by calling this, we need a resistance, by saying going down there, calling them to the Gestapo, saying this is an occupation. Of course you're going to gin up some radical lefties to go out there and protest thinking they're doing the right thing, and they're putting them in harm's way. They're just pawns for these leftist, Marxist, socialist crazies. And the place has been fraught with fraud, with waste and abuse, and it's on our dime, Pete. So I don't think this backfires for Trump and Republicans. I really don't. I think the average person is going, you know, how many billions of money did we pay for these Somalians to be here? I don't care where you sit. You're not going for that. And so this is a distraction from what's really happening, which is 10 or 20 years of fraud.
Yeah, no, I don't think that Homeland went in because of the Somalis. That's a separate issue. They went in. Donald Trump is doing what's called weed and seed. He's looking for people to get out of this country. And Minneapolis, you know, that's George Floyd land. That Minneapolis, if you can think of the most radical city in America, people would think it's Berkeley or Boulder or Madison, Wisconsin. No, I mean, for a major city, it's Minneapolis. So now the question would be, Brian, what happens next?
I think it continues to get, because neither side is going to stand down. Trump is not going to stand down.
No, he's not going to.
And neither are these radical lefties. But Pete, the other part is this homeless situation. This is John Hickenlooper's problem. He created it a long time ago. The road home was the road to freaking nowhere. But they keep voting for these people. I went to Casa Bonita with my family Thursday night, right? And they never been there. So I'm like, let's go. I grew up here, so it's nostalgic. And sure enough, a block away from Casa Bonita is a tent on a
Yeah,
public street.
sure.
And my kids are just and they're teenagers now, and I got accosted by a homeless person with my kids walking to a Rockies game about 6 years ago, and I don't go to Denver anymore. But now I'm like, here we are in Lakewood, and there's two tents in the middle on a public street, a block away from Casa Bonita, and my kids are just going, what is going on?
Yeah,
And
we started
it hasn't got any better.
For the folks that have been just joining us, I started this show with a question: why are the homeless homeless? And I think, and Brian's responding to it.
Because we allow it.
Oh no, because we create it. It's
Oh, we create it.
no, we have created it, and
But Peter, at first it was a problem they created so they could solve it, but then they never solved it. It just got worse.
no, they don't. Anytime anytime you watch the government, if they underwrite anything, it's because you almost want more of it. And again, it comes back into that I think it was Trevor Roper's fascism sweet song of "I Will Take Care of You," and but this is something that. Thank you for the comment on that. But this is almost far more important in this moment in time. The next move will be, we'll see what happens. And
in Minnesota,
yeah.
Pete, it's gonna be more bloodshed, and it's tragic and it's sad. Neither side. I mean, I think each side could cool it down a bit, but they're not. So, but these public officials who were calling for people to go down there and obstruct a federal operation, they need to be held accountable. And I just don't understand, when Trump was president, and after he left office the first time, all his people that helped him do whatever, conspire for the election, they all went to jail over process crimes.
Well, again,
but now we have people not showing up to subpoenas, and they're not getting perp walked.
No.
Their houses aren't being raided by the FBI. So a lot of people are seeing this as, this isn't fair. If you're going to go after somebody for process crimes and failing to go to subpoenas,
what's the next level?
You got to do it for everybody.
No, what's the next level?
You go after everybody hard.
Well, you think it's
and
the
you perp walk the mayor and the governor of Minnesota. You walk them out in handcuffs because they're obstructing a federal operation. Of course, that's going to just fuel the fire for the left.
Watch what happens. I'm
what
serious.
else can we?
Yeah.
Well, what else? People in positions of power need to be held accountable.
Thanks.
And they did it to Trump, but they won't do it to anybody else. And we have to see it for us to believe again.
Thanks for your call. We go to Robert. Robert, you're on the radio show. Good afternoon. Lines are open, 303-696-1971. Robert, thank you.
Good afternoon, brother man.
Brother.
I have not seen the video of this latest incident in Minnesota, so I'm not even going to comment on that. I think it would be ignorant and foolish to comment on something that I have zero knowledge about yet. As it pertains to the ICE officers in Minnesota, specifically, just because that's the example on the table, they don't send guys out all Tommy tacticaled out with, plate carriers and sidearms and et cetera, going after, and forgive me because this is going to sound, kind of
say it.
stereotypical, but they're not sending them out after Jose the gardener, who's been here for 25 years and has never caused any problems. They're just not. Okay? They send those guys out on targeted operations after, as Tricia McLaughlin said in this case, a guy with a history of violent assault kind of thing, or the child sex predators, that sort of thing. Your average kind of run-of-the-mill ICE agent that goes to pick up just Jose the illegal, who's been here for 20 years, just repeating. They're going in plain clothes with maybe a windbreaker that says ICE on it, because they don't perceive that person as a threat. When they go out after these guys, they perceive that there is going to be a threat. They also perceive, especially in Minneapolis, that there's going to be a public threat of these people that want to gather around and try and obstruct their operations and get in their way and potentially assault them, and et cetera, et cetera. And that's why they're out with body armor and a dozen agents and this, that, and the other. You don't see this kind of thing happening in Texas or Florida, not because ICE isn't in Texas or Florida apprehending people, but because the local authorities in
Well,
Texas,
no,
and
Minneapolis,
Florida
Minneapolis is a very radical place, and
of course it is.
I mean, and it has been before Hubert Humphrey and before Bob La Follette and those guys. They were the old radical school in this country, and they were the new school people, whatever they wanted to call themselves. But that's a hotbed, and George Floyd happened. George Floyd happened there. So
now, personally, I think that the targeted operations in Minneapolis get a lot of press, not just because the kind of public reactions and the statements from Fry and Walls and the rest of them. But I think that is part of Donald Trump's plan. Why, I don't know. But I think part of his plan is to target an area where he knows it's going to get the most public attention and press coverage that you can possibly ask for.
So
why he's doing that, I don't know.
What do you think?
What happens next?
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to ask you what happens next.
What happens next, I think, is very simple. It's going to be a very heavy escalation from the federal side. And for a couple of reasons. The first, I think, is the smaller of the two. It is a public statement that obstructing federal law enforcement officers, and that's what ICE agents are, is not going to be tolerated, period, full stop. But I think that is the smaller, maybe 10% of the motive. I think the biggest motive, and look, I'm a Trump guy. I voted for him in 16. I voted for him in 20. I voted for him in 24. And I still support the vast majority of his plans and policies. But I think the biggest motivation in this is he's saying, oh, you want to kick me in the shins? Hold my beer.
Yeah.
Okay?
No,
I got something real special for you.
It really is about Donald Trump on both sides. It's about Donald Trump's will on the right, and it's about hating Donald Trump on the left. And
yes, sir.
The protests are the Border Patrol guys are pawns in the game, as well, and the illegals are pawns in the game. And
yes, they are.
This is
their means to an end.
Yeah, this is a showdown, and the governor and the mayor and these local leaders, the rhetoric, they've empowered, and they put federal law enforcement people, I believe, people's lives at risk. But
I agree.
But it's dangerous, and it's made this situation far worse. And if I were calling the shots, and never let me, but what would you do at a moment like this? What would be your next step if you're Donald Trump?
Well, I think you have to escalate with a larger presence of either federal agents or invoke the Insurrection Act, and use the National Guard or the active
martial law, bring in the Guard. I mean, there's a lot of different things.
I hate to see it, but what is the statement that you make if you withdraw? And this is kind of the flip side of this coin. If you withdraw, what you say is, we will allow the radical populace, forget about the politics of it for a second, we will allow the radical populace to determine what laws are enforceable and what laws aren't, and what the government may do or not do in terms of enforcing them.
If they leave, does the other side proclaim victory? Does the governor and the mayor proclaim victory, or are lives saved? Or, there's when it starts out with Renee Good is shot, and that was, I don't know what you do with that. I still don't know what you do with that. And then all the foreign policy things that really drew attention, and now we're back to Minnesota, to Minneapolis again this morning, where you thought that kind of went to ground, and we were talking about Greenland, and now this, and I don't know what we say.
Here's the problem. If you leave and again, I wanted to leave politics out of it, but this
please.
is just facts on the ground. If you leave, the radical left, of course, declares victory, because it would be. Okay? And they will crow about it, but the more important part of that is that you embolden the rest of the radical left, not just in Minneapolis, but around the country, because what they see is, if we throw a big enough tantrum, the bad orange man will go away. And that is an unacceptable. Forget about Trump for a second. That is an unacceptable premise for a country that is supposed to be governed by laws and not by feelings, emotions, or men or women or anyone else, but the law.
I think we've passed that. I think we've passed that, and I don't know. There's a place that historians sometimes call a tipping point or a tripwire, and I don't know if it got crossed over. But when a person approaches these Border Patrol officers and he's got a 9mm semi-auto, the officers are, I mean, if I were schooling or if I were there, I would attempt to disarm him as well. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
But you've seen this building for a while, Pete,
absolutely.
Because there have been some pretty high-profile people that have been calling for not just resistance and not just, what I call the resistance mommies blowing their whistles and, honking their horns and stuff. But there have been some pretty high-profile people calling for armed resistance against this. And I guess the question, and I actually just had this conversation with my older daughter the other night, is if this were the FBI and they were going after an embezzler or they were going after, a high-profile criminal of any kind, forget about it, or the ATF going after a gun runner, or the DEA going after a big-time narcotics trafficker, would you see this same kind of resistance? And the answer is, I doubt it. Very seriously doubt it.
I don't think it would. This is about something else.
There's been a line drawn between real cops and ICE officers in the minds of the people that are determined to resist.
This is about something else. This is not. I mean, like I said, I personally believe that there are people being used, and I think there are manipulators, and I think the governor of Minnesota he really arrives in a clown car. He's ridiculous.
Yeah.
The mayor.
There should be 8 of them crawling out of that car.
Yeah, and the mayor of Minneapolis sees his rival in New York City. The face of the Democratic Party now is the mayor of New York City. It isn't Newsom. And now we have this moment, and everybody's being manipulated, including you and I. And so what do you do now if you're Donald Trump? What do you do now if you're the governor of Minnesota? What do you do if you're the mayor? It's almost as though the agitation goes to the point where I sense they don't care about their own. But that's always the case. And
sure. No, foot soldiers are expendable.
Sure. And
they always have been.
So what happens tomorrow? What happens tonight? It's early. Nighttime comes. It's cold. It's like it's 8 below or 3 below or something in Minneapolis. I never see these protesters look like Eskimos, but we'll watch. Give me your final thought. What happens next? What's the next 24 hours, 48 hours?
Next 24 to 48, I think you see an influx of DHS officers, hundreds, if not thousands. And I wouldn't, mainly because the local Leos, probably at the direction of the mayor and the governor, are refusing to assist in these operations, whether it's sharing intelligence or, assisting with crowd security and crowd control, that sort of thing. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if you see the Insurrection Act invoked. I just don't know that it will happen within the next 48. I think it will probably take a little longer than that.
That's
and I'll be honest with you, Pete, it scares the hell out of me because you will see Kent State happen again.
303, thank you. 303-696-1971. Kent State again.
Your 710 KNUS forecast is Saturday. Snow showers likely today with high temperatures only reaching the low 20s. Tonight, light shower activity with lows in the single digits above zero. Sunday, playoff day. A mix of clouds and sun with high temperatures in the mid-20s, gusty winds up to 20 miles per hour. Weather brought to you by L&L Heating and Air Conditioning. For quick, trustworthy, and dependable service, call L&L Heating and Air Conditioning at 720-851-1691. Visit them online at bestdenverhvac.com. That's bestdenverhvac.com. You'll be comfortable with L&L. I'm day weather meteorologist Patrice Sutter in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
right, everybody. Good afternoon. For the first time, there's nobody on the phones. We've been jammed. So oftentimes it's like people block each other out. And now you can jump the phones 303-696-1971. We've been pretty much full lines off and on throughout the entire morning. The issue now, of course, is yet another shooting in Minneapolis, the Border Patrol. And I don't see this. Adam, come into this. The shooting is attributed to not to ICE, but what are they saying? It's
to CBP, which is Customs and Border Protection.
Is that ICE?
They're different organizations. They're both under the Department of Homeland Security.
Okay.
But according to this, they serve different and distinct functions. The CBP is in charge of securing the border and ports of entry. So those are the agents you might see at an airport. And whereas ICE is customs and immigration. So if you're in the country illegally, but CBP seems more, operating checkpoints at ports of entry. So unless somebody can explain why they were even out there,
when someone says the Border Patrol was involved in this shooting, is that true or is it not?
Yes, because
it is true.
U.S. Customs and Border Protection, they are in charge of securing the border and ports of entry. So they are Border Patrol.
And they quickly now have a picture up of the 9mm and the mags, and Minneapolis officials, I'll read this later, said the man was a lawful gun owner with a permit to carry. Police chief said DHS has given the city very limited information about what led to the shooting, so they're keeping that away from the Minneapolis police. A video of the shooting has been reviewed. Shows several federal agents surrounding a person on the ground. It appears one of the agents hits the person with a gun several times before several shots are heard. So 303-696-1971, Danny Kaplis' law firm. I suggest for Dan that who you choose as an attorney has to be that person to share your values, because who you choose to represent you in an injury case says so much about you. And this is where Dan is really brilliant. I've known Dan forever, believed to be the only lawyer in Colorado history to win 5 straight multi-million-dollar verdicts in Colorado crash cases. Dan's also believed to have won the largest truck crash verdict in Colorado history, official law partner of the Nuggets now and the Colorado Avalanche, and Kaplis' law firm, serious firm for serious cases. He is my friend. Accepts righteous injury cases on percentage fee basis. He also can represent good people from all walks of life without regard to ability to pay. And if you need Danny's help, and I have in the past for our family, and he comes like the wind, if you need that man's help, 303-770-5551, or hit Dan Kaplis, C-A-P-L-I-S, his law firm.com, 303-770-5551. All right, we go to Nathaniel. Thank you for calling the show. Good afternoon.
Hey, Peter, thank you so much for taking my call.
Pleasure.
Yes, sir. So I saw the news cycle, which is exploding right now, and then I saw the video of, I think the only video we have out right now, of the shooting. And I mean, obviously there's a swath of emotions that comes with anything like this. And it just called to mind for me a few things. The first is, I don't know how much it's noted right now, but the Obama administration deported 3.5 million people, which over 8 years is the most any president's done.
Yes.
And and if you go look at news articles from like 2014, 2015, he was consistently blasted by like migrant rights groups, even Hispanic groups, blasted. And before him, Bush W., Clinton, H.W. Bush, Reagan, they all deported people en masse. I mean, Trump 1.0 did the same thing. Obviously, we saw the Biden administration not do too much with that. But the thing that seems different to me, Mr. Boyles, and what's so unsettling for me is it feels like the ICE going out in the cities right now is more of a public spectacle to put fear into the hearts of people that might try to come across illegally. I think that's the primary objective more than deporting, because I feel like if they were going to want to deport people en masse, they would go to Florida and Texas first. Now, with that all said, United States
I said that earlier. First of all, this is a very good call. They are in Florida and they are in Texas, but Minneapolis has become a showdown, and
yeah,
this is not about, as I mentioned the last caller we were talking. I see this as people and persons and organizations are pawns in a game of showdown between the left and the right, and this is the place they've picked. And if you go back and look at the history of Minneapolis, it's the exact right place if you're coming from the conservative side and you're looking for a showdown. Minneapolis would be the place you would go. And given that story of the Somalis and how they have not only gamed the system, they've gamed the system, and probably knowingly, that many of these politicians knew exactly what they were doing. So I see it as a showdown place. Your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely, man. It is. I mean, if it wasn't obvious, it is now that it's inherently obvious now that it's a showdown place.
Yeah.
And I don't even think this is political. Like, I understand that it's framed as political because the chess pieces are being moved by politicians. I understand that. But if we look a little bit deeper, I mean, without sounding too conspiratorial, the United States has long been an imperial machine, and all around the world they'll devastate areas and then give them aid after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
To have soft power put in whatever leaders they want. I mean, that's well noted. However, I think we're starting to see that come back to home, and and the thing that's been percolating in my mind for a little bit now is, with all the job loss that's going to come with AI in the next 10 years or so, the only way to probably circumvent mass chaos and a lot of loss of life, people going crazy, is to just start to implement some sort of military state right now. I mean, just to get it in people's heads that, hey, we can't go out and behave this way because we got drones over us and we got ICE willing to enforce. I really think that's where we're headed. So if I'm right, if that's true, if that's the agenda behind the scenes, then as sad and unfortunate as it is, I see the logic behind it, even though I disagree.
Donald Trump has now said that the governor is inciting insurrection. In his post, he also alleged the local police aren't protecting ICE, and this is why I'm saying it's a showdown, and saying the mayor and the governor called the local cops off protecting ICE agents. He went on to accuse them of inciting insurrection, pompous, dangerous, arrogant rhetoric, adding that 12,000 illegal alien criminals were, let me read it to it straight, came backwards to me, 12,000 alien illegal criminals, there they are, were not arrested and taken out of the state. You would see something far worse than you were witnessing today. I'm looking at television. What's going on? Adam's telling me to look at TV. What do you got?
Got a very large crowd forming
in
Minneapolis down in the street.
Yes. Hundreds
and hundreds of people forming now.
To the audience is really like there's hundreds, perhaps thousands of people now in the streets in Minneapolis.
Yep.
That's somebody has wanted this to happen, and and the sense that there's going to be a revolution in this country is it's really wishful thinking by the new left. But then you see something like the New York mayor becoming the mayor in New York. Back to you, Nathaniel. The mayor in New York, I think, elected on the day that Dick Cheney died, I think is significant. But now is the mayor of Wall Street. The center of capitalism is Wall Street, and this man is now the mayor. He's a socialist. He's a Muslim. He's Ugandan, and he's subcontinent Indian, I think, by ethnicity, and he's now the mayor. And so, and I think he is now the face of the Democratic Party. You can lead to these moments. You can lead to a Menshevik movement in this country, not a Bolshevik, but a Menshevik movement. I can see it coming. And I think that the United States could easily become Great Britain at the end of the Second World War when they get rid of Churchill and a socialist government moves in. I can really actually see the Democratic Party doing that. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's too. I'm speaking broadly to what
go ahead.
Your question here, and I'll bring it home. Okay, so you have two corporate-backed political parties whose vested interest is in their donors first and the citizens second. We get some breadcrumbs to, keep us happy, and then they don't really fix too much because if you run for office again and there's not really any problems, you're not useful at all. Therefore, you're not going to get elected again. So that's our primary problem, I think, when it comes to politicians in general. And then secondly, with New York, all these politicians are opportunists, man. Like, they want these showdowns. They live for these showdowns. They live for massive opportunities like this. I think that the New York mayor race was decided the second that he said he wouldn't visit Israel first. And
I agree.
I think it was Tucker Carlson that said in that moment he did the same thing that Trump did in 2016 when he was the first debate with Hillary, when Hillary said, I get into office, I'm going to attack Trump and all of his friends because they need to pay their fair share. And then Trump says, you won't do that because you would screw over your donors.
Yep.
It's just not going to happen. And right then he won the election. Done. So I think with all of that said, this is all tactical positioning. And yes, the Democratic Party is going to push a lot of socialism, and they're once again going to go overboard. But I think that they have wisened up after the Biden administration, after the Harris loss in 2024. They're going to appeal to middle-of-the-road voters as much as possible, and completely disregard.
Back to when Hillary ran against Donald Trump, people voted against her. They didn't necessarily, they voted for him, but it was more of a vote against her. And, and your point's well taken. And it flipped around the other way, that they voted for Joe. You can, I love reading about voting behavior. People more than often vote against someone as opposed to voting for someone. So
yes, I agree.
But people voted against the vice president, and they voted for the former president, and they voted again for Donald Trump as opposed to Hillary Clinton, and she didn't take it well. It didn't work well for her. But now we're now a Marxist, an admitted Marxist, not someone that carries Marxist soft in his back pocket or her back pocket. An admitted Marxist has become the mayor of the biggest city in America. That, I keep telling people how significant that is. That brought about so much in the Democratic Party, and you watch these guys. I mean, I'm telling you, they shake your hand, but they're looking over your shoulder. They're looking They want to see what's next. And so they're all watching Minneapolis right now. This is mother's milk. This is life's blood. It's a showdown. And who pulls it out? What do you think Donald Trump will do next? And this is a great call, Nathaniel. What will Donald Trump do next? And I have to pause. What?
Yeah, I mean, the previous caller said Insurrection Act. I think that's going to happen. It wouldn't shock me if both the mayor and the governor go to get locked up. Wouldn't shock me if that happened as well.
Wow.
I don't think Trump really wants to go there, but I don't think he's afraid to either.
No.
And one last thing, just about the self-proclaimed Marxist as the mayor. I mean, to be honest, Gen Z and a lot of millennials feel screwed economically, and when anybody says, "Hey, I'll make your life," right? So it's just like Trump too, when he said, "I'll make your life easier." Well, we're going to vote for him. So thank you, man.
Thank you. Good call. 303-696-1971. Right back with you after this. we're going to run out of time here. If you want to jump the show, come in 303-696-1971. Saturday morning, the 24th morning of January, big football weekend in Denver. There's been another shooting in Minneapolis. 17 the high today, 20 tomorrow. 303-696-1971. And a new video has dropped. And I just looked over Adam's shoulder and saw it briefly. But this is the woman with the pink phone, right, that you could see.
The pink coat.
The pink coat. And you could see, excuse me, I said pink phone. And she's watching. You can see her watching in the initial video. You played it once. It's pretty telling. You see him throw the guy to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And
you can't really see what Alex, as we've come to know his name, was. We can't really see what he's doing. The camera's moving around. It's jerky. He's at the top of the screen. It's kind of a little bit blurry, but you can see the agent shove somebody, and then it looks like Alex gets in between to stop them from shoving that other lady, and then he goes to the ground. That's where it gets blurry. Then you hear the shots.
And you hear some words.
Yeah,
we
if you want to see the video, check out Drop Site News, and you can check that out.
303-696-1971. The governor of Minnesota has now said Minnesota has had it, and called for the Trump administration to pull ICE agents from Minneapolis. The mayor says the video shows agents, and I quote, plummeting one of our constituents and then shooting him to death. How many more residents, again, I'm quoting him, how many more Americans, and he says residents, then he goes Americans, need to die or get badly hurt for this operation to end? Donald Trump claims now is saying that these two elected officials, Waltz and the mayor, are bringing in resurrection. I watched the video. Well, is it Carol ready to go? Okay. Carol, you're on the radio show. Good afternoon. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I have just one thing that has been on my mind since all of this started. It's been about a year now. I can remember Nikita Khrushchev, this was way back in the 50s, taking off his shoe and beating it on the table.
Freedom is not free.
In a very loud voice. And Khrushchev was the ruler of Russia at the time, the communist leader. And he said, I will never... the United States will become a communist country, and Russia will never have to fire a shot.
Actually,
you will kill yourself from within.
With respect, what he said, he was in the UN, he said freedom is not free, is what he said. He didn't say the other things. And then when he had the kitchen debate with Nixon, is when he said, we will bury you.
Yes.
And what he said that he meant when he said, we will bury you, was we will bury you with, this is his intent for saying it, with consumer goods, which, of course, was impossible for them to do. But that was what he claimed his intent of saying that to Nixon in the kitchen debate was. When he hit the table or the where he was sitting behind, we will bury you. And then he said then freedom is not free, and he said niet, and he was never clear about what that really meant. But now, I mean, your points well taken. There is no more Soviet Union; it's gone.
Right. But we are killing ourselves from within. We can see what's happening now, unfortunately.
But the theme of it, historical theme of it, is empires die. All empires fail. And the question that we must ask ourselves is, are we an empire in failure right now? And failing for the same reasons. I've just been handed this. We will take America without firing a shot. That was what Khrushchev said. And then he said, niet, freedom is not free. And what we do have, we do not have to invade the United States. We will destroy you from within. And that's the line I think you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's it.
But,
yeah.
But the traditional Soviet communists are gone. And someone once said the only place communism or Marxism survives in the world today is on college and university campuses in the United States of America.
And unfortunately, those colleges are turning out our teachers, which have become very, very closed-minded as far as we no longer have a true debate in any classroom. And I don't care whether it's elementary or especially secondary and high school and colleges. It's my way or no way. We don't hear both sides.
We're watching this take place in the streets of Minneapolis. What do you think the next thing that will happen is?
I think it's going to escalate to the point where I hate to say it. It looks like it's going to be another civil war.
Do you think it's actually headed to that?
It could very well. I mean, there's enough people that use the space between their ears as either a spacer for their ears or a hair rack. They're not using any common sense. There is no common sense being elevated in any of our schools these days.
Do you think that Minneapolis is a showdown right now?
I do.
Yeah, I do too.
I do.
The governor has now come out and said he spoke with the White House twice, first to request federal agents leave, and then said state officials will investigate the shooting in Minnesota. And he said the Minnesota justice system will have the last word on this. Mm-hmm. What would you do if you were Donald Trump?
Right now, I don't know. I'm very thankful I'm not.
Oh.
I know he can't be bought, and that's the whole thing that has riled up the other side. At one time, he was a Democrat, and I was too at one time. But they've gone so far off course that there's nothing that can bring them back. The syndrome is to the point, and he can't be bought. He doesn't need to be bought. And that's what's riled them up and got them so incensed that there is no reasoning.
Do you believe, I'm coming up on time here, do you believe that, again, that these people want that showdown? The governor wants that showdown. The mayor wants it. Yeah.
Yes,
yeah,
I do.
I do
and
too.
That's why they're stirring the pot. And then they'll look very innocently. Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I didn't do that. Not me.
It's going to come. You think it's going to come to a head next week?
I believe so.
Yeah. It has to.
I believe so, and it scares me to death.
The governor's now saying the White House, the federal government cannot be trusted. The state will handle it.
No, and the state can't.
Wow.
They've let it go to the point. They burned down their city. He allowed it to be burned down in when George Floyd was.
Yeah, that's it. And
that fiasco.
Starting again right now.
Right.
Watch this. Thank you, ma'am. Have a good weekend. Thank you, Carol. Thank you. Well, everybody, it wasn't the show that we planned, but Adam, thank you. We carried it off. Jeff and Bill are here Monday morning. Broncos play tomorrow. I don't know how this ends, but it is the showdown is coming, and I think they played for the showdown. They want the showdown. And there are people that are saying 100% justified shooting, case closed. I don't think the case is closed, by a long shot. I'll be back here next Saturday, and in 2 weeks we have Steve Keeney in studio. Next Saturday we'll see what happens between now and then. All right, everybody, take care of yourselves. Broncos play tomorrow, let's hope. Saturday in January. Great job, John. Great job, Adam. I'll see you guys next Saturday at 9 o'clock here on 710 KNUS.